unfavorable view of Muslims, according to a Pew poll, and that's hurting companies' bottom lines. Campbell Soup was selling halal-compliant soups, which means prepared according to Islamic dietary laws, in Canada, when a conservative American blogger took note and called for a boycott of Campbell products. The blogger said the organization which certified the soups as halal-compliant has links to terrorists. Campbell Soup now says it has no plans to offer halal soups in America, meaning Campbell will not get a piece of the nearly $200 billion market to sell to American Muslims. Will fear of touching anything Muslim cost American businesses big money? Here to weigh in, Amina Rubin, spokesperson for the Council on American-Islamic Relations, and Sallie James, trade policy analyst at the Cato Institute. Really appreciate having both of you with us. And Amina, let me start with you just in terms of the facts of this situation. Is there anything to the allegation that the organization which certified these soups as compliant has terrorist links?
Well, I'm not a representative of ISNA, and I think they've defended themselves and said that there's absolutely no truth to that. But this really isn't about the organization certifying it. It's about the conservative blogger who is against this, trying to find any excuse to stop anything Muslim in this country. And
do you think, Amina, that this is happening a lot, where people are sort of putting a fig leaf in front of bias or dislike of Muslims?
I think this whole thing is just a manufactured controversy. Campbell's, like any company, should be able to make their business decisions based on their bottom line. And in this case, Pamela Geller and her group are just taking this as an excuse. Even a dietary accommodation they find to be threatening, and they're trying to whip up fear about Muslims in this country.
Sallie, it's interesting that Campbell Soup has gotten linked into this, and this is a company now that they say they don't have plans to offer these soups in America. Do you think it's possible that fears of being picked on or called a name or linked to some sort of a group could cause companies to miss out on big business opportunities?
Well, maybe. I think what it's important to recognise here is ultimately Campbell's, I'm assuming, are a rational company, and they've looked at the numbers, they've run the numbers, and they've decided that the loss from any boycott, because they decide to supply halal products, is greater than the loss of sales if they did. And ultimately, as a private company, I agree with Amina that that's their decision. That's between management and shareholders. Personally, I think the boycott is dumb, and I might choose to boycott Campbell's because they have caved to this boycott, if that's what they've done. But ultimately, you know, we can't force consumers to buy something they don't want to buy, and we shouldn't force producers to produce something that is not in their interest according to their own figures.
Certainly, that makes an argument that makes a lot of sense. Sallie, what do you think about this, though? The latest numbers we have just from the census in the U.S. and Canada is there are 7 million Muslims in America and 1 million in Canada. So clearly a lot of the Muslims in America may not want halal food. I don't pretend to know, but it would seem from a very simple analysis that the market is bigger here than there.
Absolutely, and that makes me think that Campbell's knows something I don't. I find it hard to believe that this conservative boycott is that important. I checked Facebook just before I came on air, and in fact the site calling for a boycott, the page calling for a boycott, has disappeared. Apparently it got something like 4,000 friends, which is not much. And I think it's important to keep in mind here that if the market is indeed as big as what you say, if Campbell's have just announced that they're not going to enter this niche market for halal soup, that sounds to me like a great opportunity for an entrepreneur to say, hey, the market leader of soup has just declared they're not going to get into this niche. That's an opportunity for me to supply these products to a apparently large and growing market.
And Amina, Sallie raises a good point. Are you seeing other companies willing to do that, to step into this market and say, hey, if it really is $200 billion, I can make money here? And good riddance if the big guys with all the marketing power are afraid to do it.
Yeah, more and more there are companies that are catering to the Muslim community as a niche market. I think it is a tremendous opportunity, and I hope that more take advantage of it.
So, Amina, how big of an issue is bias right now against Muslims, just when it comes to money-making opportunities? Purely from that perspective, do you think it's big, or is this an issue, as Sallie points out, that maybe has gotten blown out of proportion, this particular one with Campbell's and the blogger?
I think in this situation we're seeing that there is a lot of talk with maybe not a lot of impact. Campbell's made its decision. We don't know if it was based on this boycott or not, but just the fact that we're here talking about it today says that these people who are willing to come out and make their fear-mongering statements about Muslims are having an impact, but it seems to be mostly in terms of rhetoric, and I hope that it won't actually deter people from making business decisions.
All right, Amina, Sallie, thanks very much to both of you.